What's up, guys? Jay and Derek here with Tap and Turn Gaming, coming at you with a little bit of a kind of a review, kind of our own little personal listing of our top 10 tiny leaders for the tiny leaders format. But before we get underway with that, I just want to throw out there, check out our giveaway video on our channel. Once we hit 500 subscribers, we're going to be doing a little bit of a giveaway, and Derek can kind of give you a little bit of a rundown what you would be getting if you won the giveaway.
Yeah, so once we hit 500 subscribers, we're going to be giving the winner a custom-made general of their choosing. So whatever's your favorite general, you send us some art. We're going to make you a digital foil proxy of that general. They come out really cool. They're actual physical magic cards, and it's going to be whatever general you want, whatever art you want, and it's going to be foil. So it's pretty cool. And you'll also get 2 or 3 tokens that go along with that general. So if your token makes generals, they'll be that, or if you have the tokens that are
if
in
your
that
general
deck.
makes tokens, rather.
Yeah. What he said. So yeah, it's a pretty cool little thing. You know, it's just something like handmade. You know, with our blood, sweat, and tears, so to speak, from us to you. So yeah, it's pretty cool. You've probably seen them in a couple of our videos every now and then. We'll have one out because I've made a bunch for myself and Jay, and I've made some sexy female tokens. And so you know, whoever the winner is, we'll get with you via email, and we'll figure that all out.
Yeah,
but now we're gonna get on to the top 10 tiny leaders list.
Yes, but all you have to do, you know, to I don't see the subscribe button on this page, but
Yeah,
just
because this is our page, we can't actually subscribe
exactly.
to ourselves.
So
normally, right in this area, there's a subscribe button.
yeah, so tell your friends, you know, tell everybody, you know, share our videos, get the reach out there, so we can get those 500 subscribers and we can do the giveaway. We're really excited about it. But now we're going to get into the top 10 tiny leaders.
And so how we're going to do this is we're doing the top 10 tiny leaders. Try saying that 20 times fast. And we're going to do it from essentially worst to best. Now, these aren't even all bad. There's 118 unique legends that cost 3 mana or less. So to say that these are the worst to the best isn't even that really bad. We actually had a hard time getting it down to 10 because some of them it was a hard fight to get rid of some of them. So again, starting from 10 going to 1, worst to best. We're going to get into the first one, and that would be Teysa Orzhov Scion.
So Teysa's pretty cool. I mean, she's a pretty powerful general, even if you're playing just regular EDH. But you know, the 2 abilities that she grants is just really, really good. You know, being able to sacrifice 3 white creatures. Excuse me, can't speak today. To exile a creature is just really, really good. And you know, if you're playing some you know, black creatures like, you know, Fleshbag Marauder, Merciless Executioner, stuff like that, where you're gonna, you know, trigger your opponent to lose a guy, and then, you know, if you sacrifice the guy that you just played, like the Fleshbag, that's gonna trigger her ability. It's gonna net you a 1/1 white flyer. So I mean, I think she's pretty cool. What do you think?
I agree. The fact that she has the possibility for removal, and if any of your black creatures die, it's replaced with something else that can block, even if you're not using them for the exiling ability. The fact that you still get a blocker to replace your fallen black soldier creature is pretty cool.
And it's flying, so it has some evasion.
Yeah. You know, you lose a black guy on the ground, you gain a white guy in the air. It's
So
the trade-off is there.
yeah. So I mean, she's definitely kind of one of those generals that you could probably, you know, build some sort of deck around. It's all about attrition.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So that's our number 10 pick, Teysa Orzhov Scion.
Number 9 goes to Alesha, who smiles at death.
Uh, we've seen a couple videos here and there where Alesha is ranked much higher. I mean, don't get us wrong. You know, we love this card. I mean, at least I do. I have a deck built around it.
I hate it so much because he beats me.
But I mean, it's just all around really good card. You know, a 3/2 body for 3 that first strikes. You know, not a lot of creatures are gonna, you know, match up to Alesha in combat unless they also have first strike. But you know, the big thing on her is being able to pay that, you know, hybrid white black and that hybrid white black to resurrect a creature of power 2 or less from your graveyard straight onto the field, tapped and attacking your opponent is just, you know, it just makes you, yeah, it's value.
Value tab.
You just want to be super aggressive with a deck built around her, you know, and she just enables you to do that, you know, and you have access to white and black which has some of the best removal in the game.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you also have red, which red in tiny leaders also has some of the best removal in the format.
Yeah, especially red probably has in this format, stuff like Pyroclasm, Slagstorm, Anger of the Gods. Like those are basically, sweepers in this format.
Yeah, I mean red. For the most part, red has the only real sweepers in this format. I mean, black has Black Sun Zenith, maybe another card or two, but red owns the sweepers in tiny leaders, which is funny because red went from EDH being the weakest color to tiny
Yeah,
leaders being probably top two or top three
I,
easily.
I would say so. Yeah, and you could play cards like Gift of Immortality on Alesha, and just keep going to town. And yeah, oh maybe she'll die in combat. Maybe your opponent will cast a kill spell. Well, she's just going to come right back, and unless your opponent kills her a second time, with that particular enchantment, I know that's a very specific scenario, but the colors of Mardu just give you access to lots of good things to build a very super aggressive deck with her and just beat your opponent's face in.
Yeah, the only reason we ranked her really so low on the list, because I agree, she brings so much to the table. She really is aggressive and powerful. It's just that she really is dependent on what's in the graveyard
Yeah,
to really shine. And if you're facing graveyard hate or facing creatures that you don't necessarily want to use her to attack into, like anything that's a 4/4 or higher, you may not want to attack. And if she's sitting there, she has zero value. She's
yeah,
not one of the many generals on this list that generates value while not doing anything. And that's why she fell so low on the list is for us is that she has to be moving to get value. If she's sitting still, you're losing ground.
yeah,
And so I mean that pretty much sums up why she
yeah.
is on top 10 but not higher up on the list. So now we'll move on to number 8.
And number 8 is Glissa the Traitor. Now, I feel like she's a very underrated tiny leader. I mean, I've seen a lot of other videos on YouTube where people discuss their top 10 or however many they do, and I don't see Glissa on a lot of them. But I feel like she's extremely potent. Just the fact that she has first strike, death touch, nothing touches her in combat. Nothing, unless the other creature, Alesha would match up with her
Yeah,
in
the only creature
combat.
that's going to fight her well and aggressively is Alesha, really.
Yeah, I mean, unless the opposing creature also first strikes and has 3 power, then they'll trade with Glissa. But other than that, Glissa just takes down every single creature that she goes to combat with.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that on that second ability, wherever one of your opponent's creatures dies, you can take back an artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. Just off the top of my head, you can play stuff like the replicas from Mirrodin and Mirrodin Besiege, like
Yeah, the Sylvok, the Miriok, the Elf, and the Nymph.
yeah. I mean, the Moriok replica will let you sign in blood, so you can continuously sign in blood. The Sylvok replica will let you blow up an artifact or enchantment, and it's just reusable. As long as you're killing your opponent's creatures, and you've got black, so you have access
It's
to
easy enough to do
yeah,
that.
smother, murder, doomblade, all those things. Executioner's Capsule is excellent with her.
Yeah, you play Executioner's Capsule, use it to kill a creature because a creature died. You can take back an artifact. You take back the capsule,
Yeah,
and she's a perfect example of a general who, without moving, can still gain you ground. Like, and
yeah.
that's really great.
And the reason why we kind of ranked her, on the lower end of the scale, sometimes it can be situational. If you're, you have to be killing your opponent's things. So if you start attacking, let's say they don't block her, and you go in for 3 damage. Well, that's good. You went in for 3 damage, but nothing on your
Yay!
opponent's side of the board died.
So you can't get back your artifacts.
If you're not drawing into your kill spells, you're not killing anything, you're not recurring anything, but just creatures are going to die in EDH and in tiny leaders. So she's going to net you value in some form or fashion. Like Derek said, she doesn't necessarily have to be moving to do so.
Right. So now we're going to go on to number 7. Athreos, God of Passage, one of the few gods you can fit in this format. He comes with so much value on him, and so much he can apply so much pressure to your opponent without moving. Is really why he's on the list. Being indestructible is nice. Being a 5/4 is nice. Having it to get to that 7 devotion, I know from my deck it can be tough at times. But what really makes it powerful is his ability of when another creature you own dies, return it to your hand unless your opponent pays 3 life. Your opponent can only pay 3 life so many times. Like that's really it.
Yeah, I mean, and you probably, any of you that have saw the deck tech that Derek did for his Athreos God of Passage deck, he plays creatures like Fleshbag Marauder and Merciless Executioner. Well, at least if I'm playing, I'll pay 3 life every time those guys go to the graveyard, because if I don't, he's just going to get it back and essentially just have another kill spell in his hand.
Exactly.
So, but like you said, you pay 3 life once or twice. Okay,
Yeah,
you
no big
start
deal.
paying it 3, 4, 5 times. Now you're in deep waters, and it'll get to that point. And this is a perfect example of a battle of attrition where you get to that particular point. Do I want to pay 3 life again to make that actually go to your graveyard, or am I going to take the hit? It really makes you stop and think, and
Oh
that's
yeah.
why Athreos, is such a powerful tiny leader. Just that creature recursion, and the fact that he's indestructible, even if he's not a creature, he's indestructible. So you're constantly having that static ability on the board. It's just good.
I think the reason why I ranked him so low on the list, though, is because if you don't have that devotion, you don't have a creature. And if your opponent has any kind of life gain, which there's plenty of life gain out there, then they're more likely to take that hit. Even if they're getting 1 life a turn, I would take a 2 life hit more than I would take a 3 life hit.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
All right, so that moves us on to number 6, I believe,
Yes.
which is Ezuri Renegade Leader.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of you that play this format that have either played against this guy or you do play him yourself. I mean, he's dirty. Being able to tribal elves. Everybody likes elves.
Everybody. I have
So
an elf deck.
if you're pumping out lots of elves, he's gonna be able to regenerate all your other elves, and that ability to once you hit that was it 5 mana to give that overrun ability, you just start overrunning every turn. If the game goes long enough and you have that 10 mana sitting around, you could go +6/+6 and trample. But he's very scary to be staring down on the other end of the table, especially with an army of elves at his side.
Oh yeah, I mean even by himself, he applies pressure being able to regenerate. And him with 1 or 2 creatures is kind of scary. If once he gets past like 2 or 3 creatures, it's just like a
Yeah,
terrorizing,
it's terrifying.
terrorizing to see. And he also like so easily can go crazy. There's multiple elves that tap for mana equal to the number of elves you have. So all you need is one of them and a way to untap it, and you can use his ability multiple times in a turn. And being able to give your guys +3/+3 and trample multiple times is very scary.
Yeah, and I mean, you also have access to a lot of elf lords that bring like a glorious anthem along with them, like Elvish Champion.
Oh yeah.
Uh, you know, I can't remember some of the other ones off the top of my head.
There's Teysa.
Imperious Perfect. You've got all these other cards that you could be running in this deck to just pump up your elf army and just smash your opponent's face in. So I mean, Ezuri, he's all around good. The only kind of gripe that I have about him himself is that he doesn't regenerate himself. He'll regenerate another target elf. So if your opponent's playing like black or something, or even like a red for burn. If you don't have any of your other lords on the board that are pumping all your other elves, he could be susceptible to some burn spells. But overall, he's really really good, and it's very terrifying to be staring down at him on the other end of the table.
Oh, I completely agree.
So that's Ezuri. So we're gonna move on to our number 5 spot, which is Yasova Dragonclaw. So I really think that she's really, really potent. It kind of goes back to that whole, aspect that Derek was talking about, where your, general doesn't necessarily need to be in motion or attacking or doing anything. Just once you go to that phase on your turn where you go to combat, you have a continuous, act of treason for that 1 and that 2 hybrid blue red, and that stipulation where the creature has to have power less than Yasova's power. Well, she's a 4 power creature, in this format, she's going to steal just about every single creature your opponent has on the board.
Yeah, she's probably taking easily 95% of the creatures. Easily.
Easily,
The only
yeah.
one she's not taking are the gods and one of the other creatures on our list that we'll get to at some point. But she's taking just about anything, and where she has red, you have access to so many haste outlets. And, where you have green, you have access to so many pumps that if there was a bigger creature, you could probably still steal it anyways.
Yeah, I mean...
her colors for her ability just match up so well, and it's just, throw in a couple haste effects so you can attack with their creature, throw in things like sacrifice outlets, and so you don't give them back their creature.
Yeah, I mean, like Ashnod's Altar, Carnage Altar, anything, any type of free sacrifice outlet that'll net you some sort of value. Goblin Bombardment is in red. So, I mean, you could even go like a Voltron style with her and, pump her up and go in for trample damage. I mean, she's got the trample too. So, I mean, she's all around a pretty versatile card, and being able to steal one of your opponent's threats every single turn is nice.
Yeah, more or less, suit her up, take their biggest guy so you can trample over the rest.
Yeah.
Easy money. Now we'll go on to number 4.
Which is Merieke. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Merieke Ri Berit.
Merieke Ri Berit. Well, let's just call her Mr. B.
Yeah. So she's in Esper colors, 1 white, 1 blue, 1 black for a 1/1 that doesn't untap during your untap step, but you can tap her to gain control of target creature as long as you control her. And whenever she leaves play or becomes untapped, the creature that you stole gets destroyed and it can't be regenerated. That's just pure value. Being able to just snatch up any one of your opponent's creatures. The last creature that we just looked at was Yasova. The creature has to have power less than her power. Merieke just steals anything.
Yeah, Merieke don't give an F. She just lures in anybody. She lifts up her skirt a little bit, says come on over, and then they don't go home.
Yeah, and you're in white, blue, black, so you have access to blink. You have access to stuff that'll untap. Off the top of my head, I can just have her and like 1,000-year elixir on the board. Tap her, steal one of your opponent's creatures, pay 1 on the elixir, untap her. That creature gets blown up. Steal another one of their creatures.
Yeah. Throw a Thornbite staff on her. Then you're tapping her to steal a creature. When that creature dies, or if you sacrifice it or whatever, as long as you can get a creature to die, it'll untap her. Now it's going to die, even if it didn't already die, and you're going to steal another creature, and you could essentially chain gun their whole field and, lure the entire team over to play with Merieke. And she's so good.
She's ridiculous. And you could be like tricky in combat. They'd be like, oh, well, I'll attack you with my, guy, something that's big, something that's bigger than her. Be like, oh, well, I'll tap her and steal your untapped guy and use that guy to block your guy. Maybe they'll trade, so, your opponent just lost the creature they were attacking with and their other creature because you stole it and used it to block. I mean, there's so many tricky things that you can do with her. And, like I said, you're in white, blue, blacks. That gives you access to lots of tricks.
She's like literally a Black Widow. Luring over all the big mean men and then killing them when she's done.
So that's Merieke. Next, we're going to move on to our number 3 spot, which is Anafenza the Foremost.
Anafenza doesn't have any really amazing, crazy abilities. One of the reasons we ranked her so high is she's a 3-cost 4/4. It makes her flat out basically the toughest commander for tiny leaders. Now, I know things like Faster is a 5/5 and Athreos is a 4/5, I think.
Or a 5/4 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But those have a certain stipulation. She comes in at 3 mana as a 4/4. Yasova can't steal her. I mean, Merieke can, but Merieke can take anything.
Yeah.
But just being a 4/4, Alesha attacks into her, Alesha dies, even with her first strike.
Yep.
So she wins probably 90% of the fight she gets in just at face value with no abilities. And then she has the ability of, whenever she attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on another target creature you control. Being able to throw a +1/+1 counter.
Another target tapped creature.
Oh, sorry, target tapped.
Yes.
I left out that part. So she needs some solidarity and brotherhood for someone to attack with her, more or less. But That's okay because you're turning an attacking 3/3 with her into another 4/4.
Yeah, I mean, just the ability to pump up your team by attacking with her and something else, and just putting those counters on your creatures, making them bigger, especially in this format, making your creatures bigger is huge.
Especially when there's not many rats.
Exactly.
And making your guys bigger, like we said, really the only color that has rats for the most part is black. I mean, sorry, red. So making your creatures bigger helps survive those rats because they're damage-based rats.
Puts if your opponent is holding like a pyroclasm and you start putting counters on your other creatures with Anafenza, that's going to put them out of that 2 damage range, and it's not going to it's not going to kill them. It'll still deal damage, but it's not going to get them off the board. And that second ability where
icing on the cake.
Yeah, man. I mean, whenever one of your opponent's creatures goes to the graveyard and gets exiled instead, just that alone in a format that's so creature heavy is amazing.
And that's one of the reasons we ranked her as high as we did. Is a lot of the generals that were ranked below her really require the general to more or less, the graveyard to help the general along. She's going to shut down Alesha in an instant. She beats Alesha in combat and takes away Alesha's graveyard. It makes Alesha like a little kid sitting on the side of the street licking a lollipop. Like she doesn't get to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, she shuts down Alesha. She shuts down Athreos. There's so many generals, in this format that, like to play with the graveyard, and she just shuts them down.
She shuts down Teysa because, oh, no, Teysa says when they die, right? I think Teysa says when they die. But if Teysa actually says when it goes to the graveyard, she shuts down Teysa as well. But yeah, there's so many strategies she just almost nullifies. So being tough, being able to pump statically without investing any mana, being able to get rid of her graveyard, and doing all of that without having to put in any resources because she does it automatically, makes her even more powerful because you can focus all your mana into other things. And where other generals have to focus their mana into the general's ability, she doesn't have to. That's very powerful.
Yep. Just all those resources at your disposal, for no cost to you at all, other than just having her on the board.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. So. That's why she came in at number 3 among many other generals. And now we have our number 2 ranked general,
which is Geist of Saint Traft. This guy right here, he's probably the hardest guy to kill in this format. Just that hexproof that he has, alone is just astonishing. You're not going to touch him with any type of spot removal, Path to Exile, Swords of Plowshare, Smother, any of that stuff. He is susceptible to like you said, the red sweepers that you have access
red
to.
Really is powerful this
like Pyroclasm, Anger of the Gods. But with this kind of general, you're going to build your deck around him, and you're probably going to be playing enchantments or equipments or stuff like that that's going to beef him up and put him out of that range where your opponent could burn him out. With a massive burns, like a global burn spell like Pyroclasm, because he obviously can't be targeted personally, except by you, the person playing him, because that hexproof will allow you to target him, just not your opponents. But also being able to spit out a 4/4 flyer tapped and attacking when he attacks.
Woo! Especially. Woo! I'm sorry, what was that? Woo! Couldn't quite hear it the first 3 times. Also, he throw out like a Stryonic Resonator, and you get 2 angels. And
yeah,
it's
I have a deck built around him, and it's a very dirty deck. It's basically all built around disrupting your opponent's creatures, whether it be tapping them down or putting an enchantment on them that makes it so they can't attack or block or activate abilities, and just keep going to town with the Geist, so he can go in unopposed, hit for 2 damage, spit out that 4/4. So he's essentially, when he's going in unopposed, he's essentially a 6/6.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you really have to consider him going unblocked as a 6/6.
And you have access, to some really good enchantments or auras that you could put on him in white-blue, like Spirit Mantle, Steel of the Godhead. Steel of the Godhead's amazing. It gives him lifelink and unblockable, and it'll give him a +2/+2. So now he's a 4/4 lifelinker that's unblockable. Ridiculous. It's stupid good. So, I mean, Geist of Saint Traft, just the fact that he is so hard to kill, and, essentially being a 6/6 when he attacks, well, at least getting that 6 damage on the board is just incredible.
I mean, I haven't heard a lot of people in tiny leaders talking about like tier 1, tier 2 like you hear in regular DH, but I would say if there was going to be a tier 1, he'd be in it.
I would have to agree, yeah.
Easily.
Which brings us to our number 1 creature in this format, which is Shu Yun, so raw, the Silent Tempest.
This man is so raw, he wears half a shirt, and he don't care. Look at his face. He doesn't care.
Yeah, he don't give a...
He's just unbelievable. I mean, the explosive potential he has. You'd think, oh, a 3/2 when he has prowess, he'll go in for some damage and double strike.
But, we all know by now, when Khans of Tarkir first came out and I saw prowess, I'm like, I don't see that being that relevant. We all know by now that it's a powerful ability. It really is. Especially, for any of you standard players out there, prowess is extremely powerful. But, in this format, it's even more powerful.
Yeah, I have a Shu Yun tiny leader deck, and there's been many turns where I pay a blue, cast a Distortion Strike, now he's unblockable, and he gets a +2/+1. Then I cast a Preordain, then I cast a Ponder, and then I give him double strike off any one of those, and now he's going in for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14 damage unblockable. It's his explosive power. If late in the game, he'll one-shot anyone under the right circumstance. Early in the game, he's easily taken away half your life in one hit.
Yeah, I mean, just like Derek said, that explosiveness that he brings to the table. You can just play a bunch of like 1-mana instances or sorceries, like Lightning Bolt. Oh, Lightning Bolt your creature off the board. Your 1 creature. Now trigger prowess. Now he's a 4/2. I'm sorry, a 4/3. Give him double strike. Now he's going to swing in for 8.
Yeah, he's really, really good. His straight up, a lot of the generals that we showcased, they help you along the long game. They bring value to the table. What makes Shu Yun different is if your opponent has that one moment of weakness, he is going to exploit all over it, and he's going to just run right up their ass and just kill them out of nowhere.
That's so true. And, having access to blue, you have access to, like you said, Ponder, Preordain, to set up your draws so that, you're going to be drawing those non-creature spells to trigger that prowess, and just tick up his power. And, you have that 2 hybrid red-white laying around, give him double strike. It's going to be a bad day for your opponent.
Yeah. What's really cool about him is because he has the prowess, he'll survive Pyroclasm, which is, he'll survive Pyroclasm and Volcanic Fallout because they both do 2 damage, but when you cast it, he triggers prowess, he becomes a 4/3 and survives them. So while most creatures are going to fall down against a Pyroclasm and they're going to fall down against a Volcanic Fallout, Shu Yun stands there and rises up. It's really powerful.
Yeah, and that's why he's ranked as our number 1 just for the sheer explosiveness and power that he brings to the table. I mean, you start off a game, let's say you win the die roll and you play first. You get him down on turn 3. Turn 4, you play like 2 spells. You
give him double strike.
Essentially, ideally you would have 4 mana down. Play 2 cheap spells like a Lightning Bolt or, like a Ponder or a Preordain or whatever. Trigger prowess twice, give him double strike with that other 2 mana, and he's going in for what, 10?
Yep. 10 on turn 4. Easy.
That's ridiculous.
Yep.
So that's why we rank Shu Yun as number 1, just for the sheer amount of power and explosiveness that he brings to the table, and the colors that he's in give you access to lots of really cheap and efficient non-creature spells to, do something to even make him more powerful, unblockable, or whatever it may be, take out your opponent's creature. All right, guys, so that about wraps up our top 10 list of the top tiny leaders for
so many T's.
Try saying that 10 times fast. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let us know what you think of our list. If you would rank these creatures differently than we did, or if there's creatures that we didn't mention at all on our list and you believe that they should be in a top 10 list, let us know in the comments section below the video. We really do like to hear your comments and suggestions. And if you're not subscribed to our channel, crush that subscribe button. We really do appreciate it. And check out our 500 subscriber giveaway video where we go into detail about what you would be winning potentially if you won our giveaway once we hit that 500. So
This is Jay and Derek with Tap and Turn Gaming. Thanks a lot. Like, comment, subscribe, and check out our next video.